2020 all over again, exactly what we were expecting, at least myself. Two candidates that are beyond their years, to say the least, debating again twice this year, once in June and later in the year. We'll get to talking about it as well as some implications on a grander scale that I think are worth thinking about, and we keep touching on them. So let's get right into it. This thing that's in my brain, it keeps me from wanting to go on, but I want some gain. Maybe a little fame. Yeah. So if anybody didn't catch it, I haven't listened to Biden speak in quite a while. So hearing the way that he's talking, and if you watch the video, if you just listen to it, you'll probably think he sounds a little tired, but nothing else. But if you watch it, you're going to see how many times they had to cut to make this possible, and you can only imagine just to get him through this at the energy level that he's at. God rest his soul. Good luck to him. But I want you guys to listen to this video. If you're listening, if you're watching, have a look at his body language. Take a look at the cuts, like I said, and let me know what you guys think.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
And so in response to that, Trump actually just posted a truth and didn't say anything. So I believe, let me just make sure I get the quote here. Trump said, in a truth, he said, "I'm ready and willing to debate Crooked Joe at the 2 proposed times in June and September." It's a pretty weak response in of itself, but I mean, you can't look much weaker than Joe Biden did on the video if you just watched it. So you got the two same people going back and forth, and I don't find it interesting. You know, you always like to say this is going to pit the two ideologies, and we'll get at least some sort of benefit out of it. We will get some sort of addition to the conversation nationally, but I think that neither of these candidates are going to be supplying anything but attempted haymakers and gotchas. I don't think we'll get anything substantive. I don't think we'll get real foreign policy talk, which is what's needed. I don't think we'll get real economic talk, which is also what's needed domestically and internationally as well. Let's just be honest about it. I don't think that's going to help anything. But the one thing that I do find curious about the debate, and I'm curious how you all feel about it, because I'm not a huge supporter of the guy, but one person who's being left out of the debate, of course, it kind of all knew it would happen, but it doesn't make as much sense this time as RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr. He's polling at, I think now, like between 10 and 16%. To be polling that high nationally, now, I think there's something to be said for leaving that group of voters out of the discussion. Now, do I understand why? Yeah, of course. The two parties are trying to steer their direction of the ship that they're going to win here. And what I think is really going to happen is I think that RFK Jr. is going to underperform, but not massively. And if he does so, if he gets somewhere around that 10 range, 9, that's going to drastically alter the effect. Right? I think that what you're going to see is people, my guess is people who would normally tend to vote slight blue are going to vote red or vote for RFK. I don't really think that it's gonna, what I'm saying basically, RFK getting 10, 15%, if he gets anywhere near that, he's going to be taken away from Joe. And that's a voting block that they can't really have. So if you're going to stage these debates, I'm sure one of the conditions is no third-party candidate. It's Joe Biden and Trump. If I had to guess, there's going to be time breaks. There's going to be just a whole lot of, I already mentioned it earlier, but just gotchas. It's going to be a lot of accusatory speak, and I don't think we're going to get anything genuine. Now, looking outside, what the implications are out and for the rest of the world is I think we're going to see that both of these men are incompetent. That's just my guess, my feeling. But what could happen if Now, I have a bad feeling about Trump in general. Okay, I have a feeling he's going to underperform in this debate like he did at many others. But if he was to be on his game, his best game would to be as silent as possible. To let Joe keep talking, to let him ramble on. If there's a world, now this is all really wishful thinking. If you're a Trump supporter, to me, I don't support either candidate, so I don't really know which way the wind is going to sail. But if Trump was able to do that and hold back his normal self, his bombastic self, I think you could look at a real possibility of knocking Joe out. Them doing it as early as June is really peculiar. Makes me think. Now, I'm thinking about this on the spot here because I had a different thought initially. Them doing it so early, I think they're trying to leave the window open for replacement. Now, I don't know which side is trying to do that. Maybe it's both. Them doing it so early, I do think, now that I'm thinking a little bit more thoroughly, I think they're trying to leave the window open here. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what that brings. The polling is going to change very quickly. I mean, we're talking about June. It's less than a month away. It's a couple weeks away, actually. So we will see. Now, broader speaking, everybody's going to be looking at this, seeing how weak we are, seeing if there's somebody coming up out of the woods. Does RFK pick up if they really both suck? You never know. Before I move on to the next topic, I just wanted to thank everybody that is here. One thing I totally forgot to do on last week's show was thank all the mothers, and my mother specifically. Could not be more thankful for the woman that I was blessed to have been given as a mother. She works her ass off. She doesn't work her asses off. She works her ass off. And I could not be more happy to be guided by both of my parents, but specifically my mother following this Mother's Day. It's always very special to me to still be able to spend time with my mother. And I know so many people that have been ridden of that chance, and I cherish it. And I hope that you all cherished it, for you who have mothers that are still here. Just a wonderful, wonderful time to celebrate. It's always a good time to celebrate, but on these days, we have Father's Day coming up. People's birthdays, man, you gotta live and you gotta love it. Now, moving on, what I'm seeing on an international scale is I see stalemate when we're talking about wars, but what I did find interesting, so today I just found out that, and I'm not sure if any of you guys heard about this, it seems kind of minor, in my opinion, the International Court, ICC, putting out a couple of warrants, I guess you would call them. They seek arrests. I don't know what that even means. This court has no jurisdiction, to my knowledge, in reality, anywhere. So what I saw, and I found this hilarious, is they're now finding, and I hope I can get a screenshot for you guys because this is pretty funny. They want to hold and put people up for war crimes trials. And that's going to include Benjamin Netanyahu, one of his defense ministers, Yoav Gallant. I'm sure I am absolutely butchering that, as well as a couple of the leaders from Hamas. I believe we have, who is it? Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed Diaf, Ismail Haniyeh. So 3 people from Hamas, two people, but one of them being the actual elected leader of a nation. I don't know how democratic it was, but elected leader of the nation. I really find it curious to see how they plan on prosecuting this if they do. What are they going to try to use to justify it? And yeah, as horrific as what I think is going on in Gaza, to hold accountable, instead of a nation, you're going to hold accountable one man. You're going to put an arrest warrant on his head, which is basically what it is. I don't believe that the United States is a part of this group, but there are Western nations, including England, and sure a decent amount of the EU. I'm not sure. I'll have to confirm that the EU is actually backing the ICC, but if they are, you have quite a few Western nations that are going to, I guess if they really do abide by the ICC, they'll be attempting to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. Put into a circumstance of Benjamin Netanyahu steps foot in England, steps foot in Germany, trying to make a deal, possibly talk peace. Is he subject to arrest at that point? Like, the implications of this are, to me, unknown. Be very interesting to see how that continues. And, I believe that, I'll have to confirm this as well, but I believe that the state of Palestine, which is not actually a sovereign nation, but is is apparently a state that is in this ICC, this protected international group. If that's the case, technically, the ICC should have already arrested these people, the leaders of Hamas that they're talking about. Or if that's even possible, I don't know what the logistics of this is. And if any of you have heard anything about this international court or have ever seen a prosecution go down, I've never actually heard this court lay down a decision before, and I'd be curious as to what kind of precedents is set and what's going on in Gaza and in general in the world is any different than anything that happens all the time with war. The world is so large, so densely populated at this point. There's always pressing issues, borders moving, right? It's really just, in reality, that's what's going on. We are a massively interconnected society as the world right now. Never been this much, and I'm sure we're headed for even more connectivity in the very near future. What that's going to lead to is a lot of conflict. We all know within our relationships at home, and then stemming out to friendships, and then stemming out to broader communities, the whole community and the whole love, even between a partnership, is built together on trust that's formed in those trying times, right? Or in those times where you need to make a hard decision for a loved one, for the community, for your family. When you talk about decisions like that is where you talk about controversy, where you're talking about war on a grander scale, right? What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to fight for? And when you, like I said, you're so populated, you always have borders moving. Well, what does borders moving mean in the modern sense? That means that people are claiming land. They are fighting over the right to rule over a certain parcel of land or some certain amount of people. That's all that is. And it's never really going to stop. As much as you love to get rid of war, you're never going to get rid of power, right? When part of human nature, and really animal nature, human instinct and animal instinct, part of being human is a power structure. Having someone at the top, people below them that serve them, and people below them that want to take over, right? There's two different kinds of supporting cast underneath a leader. When you have that power structure, that will always exist, right? Just that one little breaks down into many other legs that are all having supporting casts. Good, bad, in between, middlemen trying to just make a profit, just help out their family, or whatever their justification is. Power is so important to really having a purpose, I would say, in being a human. Okay? And it's not to say that you should be power hungry, but it's actually just the opposite. It's realizing the effect that power has on people. And when you get to more and more powerful positions, or you have more and more responsibility, which is really what power is, having a really possibly diminished role with your actual fingertips and what they're doing, but more utilizing your brain and connections and different patterns that you've recognized in order to capitalize and make good decisions. When you're talking about a leader like that, someone who makes great decisions, sets people on the right path, that is a power dynamic, right? You are looking to be better or more efficient than other people doing the same thing. And that's life. That is when you're talking about a bricklayer, when you're talking about someone who works at a fast food chain, works their way up to manager, okay? Or it could be corporate. It could be a lawyer looking to go partner. It's all about power, in a sense. And you don't have to look at it that way. But it is about what you command, right? Like if you want to, in a modern day, if you want to have a high enough income to match modern day inflation, really, modern day costs, you need to work. You need to put in the work. You need to gain some sort of position of status and not be at the bottom rung, right? It used to be that, I don't remember a time like this. It's always been you needed to earn more than minimum wage, but it used to be you could be right above that minimum wage line and be really set on a path to a decent American life, owning a home at some point. In my opinion, even in my lifetime, since I've been working, since I was, 14 when I started, believe, don't quote me on this, believe when I started it was either $7.25 or $8.25 as the minimum wage. Since I started working, so that's just 10 years, the minimum wage in my state has more than doubled, I believe. As long as it was $7.25, it's at $15 an hour now. And to see what you need to earn to be a high earner in our area, see how that's changed, see how prices have been affected, recognizing that you cannot be anywhere near that bottom portion if you want to be successful when it comes to having money to save, not just blowing through it every week, right? That is a power dynamic. That is everyday life. So you live it. I believe that we all live it. Displaying this power and seeking leaders that are able to handle the power that they've been given in order to harness the connections and the pattern recognition in order to make influential and good decisions based on not just what's good for us, because we might be doing what's best for the next generation. Might not even be thinking about the generation that's affected right now. And that might be okay. That might have to be a shift in what our leaders are looking for. Instead of baiting and hooking and trying to get us all bought in with really offering us cheap fixes, offering basically money in our hands as long as we don't earn enough. I think that stuff eventually hits a wall. And I think that our leadership is going to change. We have a leader who fights for the everyday American, forget about what their politic is, but fights for the American that's working their ass off. Because last time I checked, it's 99%. 99% of people I know work their fucking asses off. And if they're not, they're retired from working their asses off. And if you're not in a community or a set of people that are like that, I suggest you surround yourself with some better company. That's all I got for today. Again, happy Mother's Day. Happy Father's Day to the fathers coming up soon. We'll see you guys closer to then next week. We got Memorial Day. What I'm thinking is, and for anyone who saw my story, I blew this recording yesterday. I was very upset with how it came out, so I did another one. I think it came out a heck of a lot better today. But let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know what you guys got going on. Memorial Day, maybe we'll take a week off. I haven't really thought about it. Maybe I'll put out a show on Wednesday or something. But until then, appreciate you guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know if you think that... I'm really curious to see if Netanyahu gets arrested. Let me know if you think that Netanyahu gets arrested. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if it's possible. Let me know what you know about the international court. And until next time,
I wish I were the
peace out.
fucking state. I wanna be something, not nothing. Trapped inside my dream and I'm running away from these demons. But the feeling's so good, I'ma keep dreaming.